crossover technique begins with an officer in the worst possible position, flat on his back with a suspect in a full mount. Once in a full mount, a suspect can begin to rain down blows on the officer, striking him in the head, neck, and face area. As this officer has already been on the radio requesting for backup, a secondary officer is arriving on scene. His primary responsibility is to peel the suspect off. We can do this by hooking the head and pulling the body to the ground. Upon striking the ground, the officers will turn around and bifurcate the body of the suspect. One officer gaining control at the head and arm region, another one at the legs. The officers will continue to try to get the suspect into custody by throwing strikes and by giving good verbal commands. While doing so, a third officer might arrive on scene. That officer will tap off, taking over a secondary appendage. By separating the suspect's base out, the officers are better able to control the suspect and limit his ability to kick. As a fourth officer starts to arrive on scene, he will take over that last appendage that is left. Once all the appendages are under control, if possible, a fifth officer may arrive on scene, controlling the suspect at the head. This fifth officer would be the officer who begins to give verbal commands to control the crossover technique. This officer will do so by either naming officers by name or by tapping them to designate a side that will cross.
Jason Jeremy, prepare to cross.
Upon giving the command of prepare to cross, all officers will stand, pulling the appendages out to a straight position. The officers designated to cross will move into a butt-to-butt position. Upon giving the cross command, they will simply step over the suspect and roll them to their stomach.
Cross.
Upon rolling the suspect to his stomach, the officers will immediately drop back to the ground and control the appendage. At this point, the officer at the head will then again designate a side to begin the handcuffing procedure.
Cuff.
The arm is swept low to the ground and brought to the middle of the back, and a handcuff applied. Once the handcuff is secure, the officer will tap off on the other side, informing them to sweep the arm again low to the ground and up to the middle of the back. Once both arms are secure, the officers tap off on the officers on the legs, allowing them to stand up and move into a 360-degree security perimeter. The officer on the ground will then roll the suspect to his side and begin a cursory pat-down search. Once the officer has searched both sides of the suspect, they'll bring him into a seating position where the suspect can now be moved to a secondary location to finish the investigation. The drop command is used when the suspect offers resistance or an officer loses control of their assigned appendage. In the event this happens, any officer will immediately yell drop.
Drop!
All officers will immediately fall back to the ground and regain control of their assigned appendage. When the suspect is again under control, the officer at the head will again give the prepare to cross command and complete the crossover technique. To add clarity, the person at the head who's controlling the head, place the head pointed to the side, both hands on top pushing down. The purpose is to control the head to limit suspect movement and also to protect the suspect's head to keep it from thrashing around and being injured while on the ground. Another option for the person at the head is to utilize pressure points, such as the mandibular angle located directly below in front of the ear on the jawline. Another option for controlling the arms is to place the forearm of the officer directly underneath the elbow of the suspect, then figure fouring back on his own hand. By doing so, he'll create a lever. By pushing down on that lever, the closer the officer reaches towards the wrist, the greater pressure he'll receive on the suspect's elbow and forearm area. This lock is incredibly effective for creating pain compliance. While controlling the arms, a gooseneck can be employed. The officer will simply put the suspect's elbow on the ground, folding their arm over the top, their hand over the top, pressing down on the hand, creating tension, pressure, and pain compliant. Moving to the feet, an officer can perform an Achilles lock by placing his forearm underneath the Achilles tendon, figure fouring back on his own wrist, and pressing the toes away, looking for that pain compliance. Another angle of the same move can be applied by placing the toes underneath the armpit and hooking the heel, placing the forearm directly underneath the Achilles again. By figure fouring back on the body, all the officer must do to create pain compliance is to arch his back and lean back. To assist with turning the suspect, if the officers will point the toes in the direction they intend to turn the suspect, placing one hand on the toes, another on the heel, as they step through to rotate the suspect, they can turn the foot almost like a steering wheel on a car to turn the suspect onto his stomach. This requires less force and results in less injury to a suspect.